Okay, so we're going to look at types of data for today, and that might be as far as we get. Okay, so types of data is referring to the different categories that you could have for data. So when you think about data, it's not talking about like your how much megabytes do you have in your phone, although that is one type of data. But this type of data that we're referring to, okay, it could be a numerical value, it could be some sort of word, it could be anything that has some sort of meaning behind it. Okay, and it's because it's so broad, we need to be able to obviously hone it back to what does it mean then from a mathematical perspective. Okay, but some examples of data, okay, is anyone know what a census is?
Like a
What's a census?
Australian census.
Yeah, have you guys done one before? Not yet,
They're
because you're
asking questions.
exactly. Okay, they ask you questions. You're too young to do it because mum and dad probably did it for you. But the census basically asks, I remember some of the questions were like, how many people live in your household? How much money do you make in the year? Um, or it could be, what religion do you follow? Or what nationality are you? Or where were you born? Okay? And the reason why they look at that is they use it to maybe just understand what's the demographic in Australia, or what are the sort of people living in Caroline Springs, or what's the annual income for someone that lives in Melton, for example. Okay, and that data is useful for whatever they want to use with it. Maybe they might say, oh, okay, there's a lot of quote unquote very lower class or middle class people living in, let's say for example, Caroline Springs. So the government might say, okay, let's pump more money into that suburb so that they can have good facilities. Okay, or it could be like, oh, there's a lot of Samoans living in Burnside, for example. Okay, let's come up with some new cultural activities so that the Samoans can be happy. Okay, it's that kind. That's what they use data for, and that's different types of data. You could be like, oh, what's the um, a store? Okay, could record what are the most common shoe sizes that we sell. So maybe, for example, you go to like Culture Kings, okay, and most of the Air Force ones that they sell could be like for males could be like size 8. So that means they order more size 8s than all of the other sizes. Okay, so that's basically the idea behind gathering data and using it. And if you think about it, it's quite useful, okay? Because it's data can help you think about what you're going to be doing in the future, okay, or what sort of making decisions or making meaning out of something. For example, you could look at weather as another piece of data. I look at the weather every day. Okay, it's going to be 30 degrees today. All right, I'm going to wear shorts today because it's quite hot. Okay, so those are different types of ways data can be used and why it is even a thing. Okay, data that we use, though, can be described in different ways. So we're going to try and put it back to maths and how it all relates. So data can either be some sort of number or some sort of word. Okay, I'm gonna break it down in those two most basic definitions. You can make it into a number, or you can have data as some sort of word. So in this example here, okay, responses by a group of 10 students, okay, here you've got numbers. So this is some sort of numerical data. Okay, so this data here is numerical. Here you've got words. So this data is some sort of categorical or descriptive data. Okay, I'm not going to read through all this because it is a bit much. I'm just going to explain to you. Okay, we break data down into two types. And you may have learnt this already back in semester one. Okay, so we've got categorical and numerical data. Does anyone remember this? Yeah, vaguely. Huckton, I taught you last year, this year. Can you tell me or explain to me what might categorical data mean? You can read that if you want, but maybe put it in your own words. What's categorical data?
It's like data can be sorted into categories or groups.
Okay, so it can be categorized, it can be grouped. Okay, anything else?
If a number is involved, it can be used as a name.
Okay, as a name. So, because you've got a number, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's numerical, but a number can be used to represent. So the way that I would represent or explain categorical data, and the way that it makes most sense, I think, to most students is it's descriptive. Okay, it's describing something. Okay, it's not necessarily a number in a sense that it doesn't necessarily mean that a number is numerical, but if a number is describing something, then it must be categorical. So categorical data is descriptive. It's describing something. Okay, so what's an example of describing something? It could be the most popular food in the canteen, or the most popular TV show on Netflix at the moment. Okay, that's all descriptive categorical data. Or what is your Tell me this actually. Actually, no, I won't go there yet. I want to trick you guys with that, but I'll come back to it. So categorical data, just think of it as describing. It can describe something. Now, from there, you've got two subcategories of categorical data. You've got ordinal and you've got nominal. Ordinal just means you can put the data in some sort of order. So, for example, there could be small, medium, large. Or if you're putting a number on a scale, it could be like most likely to least likely. Or how much, have you guys seen those surveys that say, how much do you agree with this statement on a scale of 1 to 10? Okay, that is categorical ordinal. There's an order to it. When you see ordinal, just understand that it's categorical and you can put it in some sort of order. Okay, nominal is a bit different. Nominal doesn't have an order. Okay, but all you're doing is you're just nominating or you're putting it in a certain position. In this case, for example, nominal data could be what is your nationality? Okay, because there's no order, there's no better or worse with nationality. It's just what is it? Or what are the genders that you have in your family? Is it all boys, all girls, one girl, one boy? Okay? Or it could be, what did you eat for lunch today? Okay, there's no order to it. It's just what is it? Okay, so nominal data, no order. You're just literally putting it in a certain spot or a category. Ordinal means there is some sort of order to it. Okay, and we'll go through some more examples of this. I don't want to write too much here for now. Let's move on to numerical data, okay? So let's ask Jordan, numerical data. Without maybe using this, put it in your own words. What's numerical data? What could it be? You can use it as a clue. What does numerical mean? Any clue? Any idea? What's numerical data? So you can read this for me then. What does it say? Good. It's good. Okay, so numerical data is something that you can count, something that you can measure. Okay, so keep that in mind. It's different to categorical data because categorical is about describing something, but numerical data is all about counting, measuring. Okay, so when it comes to numerical data, I would say you could actually just use these as your descriptors. You can count it. Okay, it's counted or measured. Okay, that's what you can say for numerical data. You can count it, you can measure it. Another thing you could say is you can put mean, median, mode to it. Okay, it's that kind of data. Numbers are not used as a name as well. So a numerical data, you don't use it to label things. Okay, it's actually got, like, for example, I might measure the hair length in this class and then put it from lowest to highest. Okay, or I might count your ages. Okay, your age could be like, what's your average age in this class? That's numerical data. Okay, continuous data. So you can break this down into two subcategories as well. So continuous data, you're measuring. Okay, so basically that could be like, again, measuring your hair length or measuring the distance between one thing or another. Time, okay, is continuous data. So you can think of it as measuring. Put that here. Okay, whereas discrete data involves counting. Okay, that means you might be counting something individually. How many cars are parked in the car park at the moment? Or it could be how many hours did Mia sleep last night, for example. Okay, that's discrete because you're counting individually. All right, so that's the two types of data you've got and the subtypes. So you've got categorical, you're describing. Okay, there's an order. You can make it either ordinal or nominal. Remember, ordinal means you can put it in some sort of order. Nominal means you're just nominating it. You're not really ordering it. There is no natural order. Numerical is when you're either counting or measuring the data. And you can say that numerical data can be continuous, so that's when you're measuring it. And numerical data can also be discrete, where you're counting something individually. Okay. Let me ask you this. Okay, here's an example. Postcode. Okay, tell me this. Is that categorical or is it numerical? Why is it categorical? You're not measuring anything. You're not counting anything. But what is it? It is. It's describing something. Describing where you live. Well, that's okay, Anthony. So good. Yeah, good guess. That's the example I wanted to say. So let's look at some examples. Okay, so here you're gonna determine whether these are numerical or categorical, and then also tell me the subtypes. So let's look at gender. Is gender numerical or is it categorical? Have a think. Is gender?
It's numerical.
You reckon it's numerical?
I'm joking. It's kind of
It's categorical. Okay, it's categorical because, depending on what you believe these days, okay, you could either be male or female, or you could be a bunch of other genders that people want to determine for themselves. Let's just keep it simple for now, male, female, okay? Easy. Right, now from there, okay, look at the categorical subparts or subtypes. Is it ordinal or is it nominal? Is there an order to gender or are you just nominating something? So it's categorical nominal. Okay, that's the answer for that. Sometimes these can get pretty vague as well. Okay, so that's something to think about. Number of children. Okay, is that a category or is it a numerical? Numerical, good. Okay, now think, are you counting it or are you measuring it? You're counting, so it's discrete.
I mean, you could measure smallest to oldest.
You could, you definitely could, but this is just saying how many kids there are, number of kids. So in that case, you could make it numerical continuous, possibly. Or actually, it would be, if you was counting smallest to tallest, that wouldn't be numerical anymore, would it? It would be categorical. But that's a really good example. I like it. All right, what about your position in a 100-meter race? Okay, is it numerical or is it a category? Good, it's the category. Okay, because you're actually describing which place were you, what did you come? And it's ordinal. Good, because there is an order to your place in a race. You're not placing it somewhere. You're ordering it from, did you come first, second, third? Last one here, height. Okay, is it numerical, categorical? Numerical, good. And are you measuring it or are you counting it? You're measuring it, so it should be continuous. Okay, so if you ever get lost with what to put in, just go back to this, okay, because it will sort of help you explain or understand what the answers are. Just keep in mind, in year 11 and year 12, I want you to make sure you write your answer like this. Okay, don't just say, oh, it's nominal. Okay, you should write your answer in full because they will mark you off if you don't. All right. Cool. That's basically it for that. So I'm going to stop.